sheer nuts of Legend Creations. They're not only ripping off Hot Toys and other licensed companies like that, they've decided to have a pop at all the third-party companies as well. These guys know no shame. This is going to be the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, aka the Toys Era Joker KO by Legend Creations. Man, the sheer balls on Legends Creations. They've decided to start ripping off Toys Era and people like that. We're talking big kahunas here. We're talking like Peaky Blinders level of kahunas on these guys. But seeing as the Toys Era Joker was in actual fact an unlicensed figure, technically this is a knockoff of an unlicensed figure. It's kind of getting meta. But I'm kind of looking forward to the moment when somebody rips off the Legend Creations version and creates a KO of an unlicensed figure. This is going to get into like Inception levels of ripping off. But regardless of whether it's unlicensed or licensed or whatever, is this as a clone any good? Well, we're going to have a look. And first and foremost, we're looking at the box. The box has the happy face logo on, and it's the exact same. They've just reprinted it on there, and it's a fairly dull looking matte box. The text is nice and big, but it's nothing to write home about. There is splatter print on the side, the Legend Creation logo up the top. There's absolutely nothing on the back except for some like dull sort of reddish smearing going on. Some warnings on here saying warning, this is even more of a rip-off than the original. There's nothing at the top other than the Legend Creations logo. There's nothing on the bottom. Okay, let's open it up and see. And they've even put a seal on there. Honestly, God. And if we slide it off, they've actually developed a different style for the box. It's got a window here, and it's actually got happy face written on there. And I think, can we slide this around and have a look at the back? No, it's still the warnings again with all the Chinese writing on. 0 to 3, not for 0 to 3. I'll tell you what, you give this to a 4-year-old, I'm going to kill you. This should be no way be in the hands of a child. Sliding it open, we've got the clamshell, we've got a figure, we've got a spare head, we've got the clown mask, we've got the flowers, we've got some extra hands. And then stuck onto the back here, we've actually got the stand. Okay, let's pop this open and actually have a look at it outside of its packaging. Okay, so here he is straight out of the box. I haven't done really any futzing with it. I haven't messed anything around. I've just pulled everything out. I've put him on the stand and I'm presenting him here. And on first impressions, when you first get a glimpse of him, you're thinking, that's not so bad. But when you actually get into the details of it, you will see some serious flaws. The original Toys Era one wasn't the best. It was good, but it wasn't like Hot Toys level quality or anything. So with a KO or a clone, you're going to get that sort of quality knocked down even further. Because I really want to bring this up. He looks like he's wearing his dad's jacket. This thing is way too big for the body. Now this HC Toys or Legend Creations, whoever they are very well known for using a slightly undersized body, and the reason they do that is because they underscale the heads because they're all recasts. So in the end, they try to counterbalance the shrinking of the head with a slightly smaller body. However, the clothing doesn't really match that. So when you put it on, he looks like he's wearing a massive pair of pajamas. Everything is very baggy on him. It looks very loose. And this jacket, these parts here, all stick up. The lapels are really protruding. The thing is not really form-fitting that much. But honestly, the colour of the red isn't that bad. It's quite bright. I thought it was going to be duller. And then we can see underneath he's got the waistcoat. And again, it's Velcroed like the Toys Era one. It's still a little bit big for the body, as well as the shirt. And the shirt still has all the little bubble details in there, the circles that they've done. Like this could actually be part of factory defects from the Toys Era one. Maybe they all got sent back because they were wrongly stitched, something like that. And then Legend Creations popped up and took some of these pieces, mixed in a couple of bits of their own and produced this thing. But yeah, on first impressions, everything is very soft on this guy. But from a distance here, it doesn't look that bad with a bit of work. Potentially you could have something, but again, I want to have a really good in-depth look at this, because at the moment I am mildly underwhelmed, and that is even with the knowledge that this was going to be a horrible clone. Okay, first off, let's have a look at the accessories, and these are the 2 head sculpts you're going to get. The Toy Zero one came with 3, but you only get 2 with this. You get the smiling one, and you also get the plain Joaquin Phoenix head sculpt. And the sculpting on this, well, it's a recast, and it's slightly shrunk from the original, and we can see there is very, very soft detail in there. It's not terrible, and there's gloss in the eyes, and you know, the eyes are straight. That is a, you know, a bonus with these figures. Normally they just come with derpy eyes, but we can see the makeup is very soft, and it's very quite faded around here. There's no sort of strong colours in it. The hair is painted okay, I guess. Big massive seam across the top, but the details have lost something, and considering the Toy Zero one had just about enough detail to warrant a 1/6 scale sort of high-end style figure, this one drops it down to sort of 1/6 scale low-end type figure. But I have seen worse, and with a little bit of paint work on there, you could actually improve it. Next up, we get the Joaquin Phoenix soft one, and I don't have the original head sculpt to compare with this because I sold it. I sold this one, and I sold the smiling one on my original, because I you know, I just wanted to save some cash, and I wasn't going to use them. I just needed a bog standard basic Joaquin Phoenix Joker. The details again are okay all the way around the top. There is a slight bit of 5 o'clock shadow around the mouth, but not a lot, and the paint flecking is okay, but not amazing. And the eyes are glossy, and I think they're quite straight looking at it from here, but from certain angles this eye does look a little bit wonky, but I don't think it's anything you would really notice. But yeah, you can definitely see that when the recast was done, it lost a lot of detail. But at least the eyebrows are painted straight. The hairline is very clean, and that's probably the most you can hope for with one of these figures. Next up, he comes with the mask, and this is actually pretty good. Everything's kind of straight on it. I would have thought these teeth would be all wonky and messy, but they're not. The arrows are all nicely clean and straight lined. The hair flicking out of the side is very good. The nose is clean. This is not actually a bad thing. It's pretty close to the original. In fact, they probably even got this actually just recast from the factory that made the original. And he also comes with the revolver. It's quite nice. This is not die cast. I believe the original was die cast, but it's sort of stuck in there. It does sort of semi-turn, but the details are okay, but the majority of it is like just the recast of the gun in plastic. This part kind of turns, but not really. You want to be careful of that. Oh, it does turn, and then this doesn't move, but it's fairly functional. It looks okay. It would kind of work with the hand, but this is where the sheer gall of this, my god, the sheer brass nuts of these guys, because these hands, I don't know if you see this, but they, from a distance, they just look like normal plain hands, right? But you'll notice it sort of cuffs out at the end here, and then do you notice how there's a sort of crease and wrinkling here, and then maybe you notice the seam line here and the seam line here. Yeah, this is actually these are the KO DX11 hands, but they've just painted the gloved hand a flesh tone. So they're gloved hands, but I've just painted them like flesh to make them look like they're actually ungloved. Wow, man, that's a special kind of something, that is. And then of course he's got his little flowers here, and they look okay actually, not too bad. They're all twisty tidied up, they're all on wires. And as a bouquet, yeah, I've seen worse. It's actually quite good. Yeah, I'll give them props for that. And just quickly, just to show you in case you weren't sure, this is the same body that the DX11 rip-off Joker they did had, because it's got that stubby bit up the top here to fit the head sculpts on. And unfortunately, that means that these heads were modified for this specific neck port, which means if you're going to modify or swap the body out, you're going to have to find a way of modifying these heads to fit on that new body. Okay, and coming in and looking at the jacket, we can see that it's not badly stitched actually. I have a funny feeling that these were produced maybe as factory defects from the original and they were never used, but you can see that the stitching down the sides here is not too bad. Around the back here, I'm pretty sure there was more of a seam line here. I think there's supposed to be one in the middle here, but there is not one there. You can see it's like the Toy Zero one. The seams down the side are pretty straight, but it does look very baggy on this figure, and the lapels stick up quite a lot. So if you're going to sort this out and mod it and stuff, you might need a bigger body, and you also might need to push these lapels down and keep them to the side, maybe iron them or glue them, but they stick out quite a lot. It does have the pockets here, and it's not too bad. There's some nice detail, very straight lines. Again, pocket here, straight. And the buttons, they're about the same size as the original Toy Zero version. But yeah, the jacket is way too big. And then coming down to the trousers, unfortunately they do come out a little bit creased, and that's just the way they come in the box. They've tried to stitch the seam line in, but there's still creases around here, so they need to be steamed or straightened, or worst case scenario, just leave them like it is. It's fairly pleated and straight around the back. Then up here we can see they've actually put the socks on, which is quite impressive. And he's got the shoes, and the shoes are okay detailed. I'll pull out the original Toy Zero one to compare them. I'm pretty sure these are just a recast of the original shoes, and they do have the soles on the bottom. Let's get the hands off, moment of truth, see if I break the wrist pegs, because the last few ones I've broken the wrist pegs. I think the Tony Stark one was the first time. The Racing Tony Stark was the first one I never broke. And we can see when you take the hand off, look at the detail there, it's horrible. Yeah, it's just a gloved hand. You can actually see the creases of the glove just in between the knuckles. And there's the glove seam there. So they've just used gloved hands and painted them flesh colour. Okay, we take that jacket off for a second. And let's see how the shirt is underneath. And honestly, that's not too bad from this angle. This shirt collar is a little bit shorter on this side than it is this side. This could even be why these became factory defects, because these aren't even, and Toy Zero probably sent it back and said you've got to straighten that out, or the factory looked at it and said nope, that goes in the bargain bin. And then you can see that the actual fabric is the same fabric that Toy Zero used, so I'm pretty sure there was a surplus of fabric somewhere. And we can see that the collars, they're not stitched together or sealed. I can't remember if that was the same on the actual original Toy Zero one. I'm pretty sure they were buttoned or fastened together, but I can't say right now. When we have a look at the Toy Zero one, we can come and compare. And then the waist jacket, once you straighten it all out and get it all futzed with, it's not too bad. It still looks a little bit funny down here, but the buttons are okay. They're just a little bit on the wonk, just not perfectly aligned, but nothing too dramatic. And it's fairly nicely stitched. The stitching down the back is good. Stitching around the hem is very nice. And the buttons on the shirt are still those tiny little glued on pieces that make it look like buttons but aren't really. And then if we lift it up, again, because these are probably like made from the same cloth and the original sizes, the trouser waist goes up quite high, but that shirt is quite tight to the body. Not too bad, if I'm honest. Okay, so here he is next to the unofficial official Joaquin Phoenix Joker by Toy Zero, and you can see a lot of this is just recast from this item. And I was wrong about the buttons. The buttons on this guy are actually a lot smaller and a lot more flush to the waistcoat, so they look more in line with the scale, whereas these are just a little bit more oversized. But you can see how the suit fits this guy a hell of a lot better than this guy here. Height wise, there isn't a lot of difference. This guy is a fractional bit taller, but the size of the head compared to this guy's got a really shrunken down head. And obviously the shirt collar is much further apart here than it is on here. This is a lot more neater and clean. It's a bit more scruffy on here. The buttons are negligibly the same size, but the jacket is reasonably okay, but this is very much more loose fitting, and there's a lot more sort of billowing and creasing in the actual suit itself. Even the gun, this little gun here, is fractionally a bit smaller than this, proving that it is an actual fact a recast of that. And the shoes are a different size as well. And if we come in and compare the masks, which is what you want to know, we can see that the one on the left is official and the one on the right is not. And the one on the left is, well, I say unofficial, official, but not the clone. And that's because this is a bit more shiny, the hair's a little bit more straight and sticking out, the hair on this is far more chaotic, and it's got more of a matte finish to it rather than the shine. And you can see the nose is just not as shiny, and the eyebrows are a little bit thicker. Scale wise, this is fractionally bigger. It sort of goes over the top of this one and it fits just a little bit more. Other than that, there is not much difference, if I'm honest. Okay, and head sculpt wise, this is actually a recast of this but without the face paints on, and you can tell just how much smaller these have shrunk compared to the original head. And it's definitely obvious, and we can see that the face paints, there's a gradient layering around the lips here. It's darker around the lips here, and as it goes around to the outside it starts to fade, where it's more of a solid red all the way through this part here. The eyes, this blue is very much a lot lighter and a lot thinner. You can almost see through it, and the eyebrows are far more thicker here, and they've got the less of a hazy look to them. They're far more clean, the lines, but the eyebrows here have a far more hazy outer rim to them. And also the face paints, this one's very, very negligibly white, whereas this is very white, and you can see the skin around the outsides, whereas this one has the flesh tone seeping through far more. And obviously this one has real sculpted hands, whereas this guy's got gloves painted like hands. But yeah, if we have a look at the shirt collars, we can tell that this is far cleaner and far more realistic looking, whereas this is a little bit more toy-like, billows out a little bit more and gets stuck where the neck joint should be, and it sort of goes in. Okay, and even with the Velcro pushed around a little bit, it still sticks out of the side, and it doesn't help with the width of that collar. It's still very wide. Okay, and coming down and having a look at the shoes, we can see that the proper hardcore KO has been shrunk down from these, and they look okay, but they're slightly weirder, sort of lighter coloured brown, and they've got a little less shine on the tips. And of course the KO doesn't come with any cigarettes, which is a shame. But then again, I think I had to search around the box for this guy's cigarette because I couldn't find it. I'm almost 100% certain they would not have included that. I don't remember seeing it in the breakdown of what you do and what you don't get. Okay, if we're talking articulation, he can look left and right, but not up and down because it's fixed on a head port there. There is some waist swivel and some ab crunch. He can bend forward quite a lot. He can bend back quite a lot. And there is quite a lot of waist swivel. The arms go up to shoulder length. They're on a single jointed elbow, so they go 90 degrees. There is a little bit of swivel, and the hands are on wrist pegs. So there is about as much articulation that you would expect from a hand on a wrist peg. Legs go up to about 90 degrees. There is a double bend in the knee, and there is thigh swivel, and the feet do have a reasonable amount of rocking and can turn left and right okay, although this one's a bit restricted to the left and right, but it's starting to loose up now. So yeah, there is a reasonable amount of ankle pivot. Okay, here he is in a basic pose. I've taken the jacket off because it's far too big and baggy, and the waistcoat is actually a bit more form-fitting, so he looks a lot better. And then I swapped the hands out with some just generic hands that I had in a box somewhere, and then I've just posed him up in a sort of like dancing sort of pose, and that's the best I can do, really, if I'm honest. I could probably modify the body and the head sculpts and everything, and I think this would be, again, a really great basis for some customs out there. Some people get a hold of this and just, I don't know, modify the crap out of it. They could probably get like a bloody faced Joaquin Phoenix Joker out of it. They could even try and do some special own modifications and make their own style Joker, you know, the kind of Joker they've always wanted to see. But if you're willing to put the time in and modify it, you might be able to get the quality a little better. In fact, you might even be able to get yourself a good basis for, say, one of the third-party head sculpts. I think Top did a good Joaquin Phoenix head sculpt. So if you get that Top head sculpt, swap the body out on this and use the clothing and whatnot, you could probably get yourself a reasonably okay Joker. Okay, personally, I think for the £50 roughly you pay, you kind of get a reasonable amount of good stuff that you could actually do a custom with. You could even use the extra clothing for possibly showing off the extra head sculpts you got with the original Toys era Joker. You could even do some modifications and even maybe use the original mask on this guy and show him with that sort of clown mask on, something like that. And also, if you're scared of extreme posing your Toys era because you're worried it might, you know, disintegrate over time, you could probably get this guy and just pose the crap out of it. Okay guys, seeing as I said at the start of the video that Legend Creations were like the Peaky Blinders of the knockoff figure world, I've decided that I'm going to sign off in this video in the guise of the Right Honourable Tom Hardy. Yes. Alright guys, basically I want you to get the fuck out of my cave, you know, because it's nice to be able to leave somewhere, you know, because there's going to be a time comes when you might be allowed to leave. No, you don't want that. You won't be able to leave, and you'll end up as brown bread. And you don't want to be brown bread. No, you want to be white bread. You want to be like long life bread. That's what you want to be. You don't want to be the brown bread. Nobody wants that. No. So when you're given the option to get the fuck out, you better get the fuck out. Yeah, because basically that's exactly what you should be, and it's nice, isn't it? It's nice to be able to leave, you know. So, you know, you're best off getting up and walking out now while you still can walk, you know, because you don't want to miss those old feet of yours. No, those feet, they need to stay on the end of your feet, yeah, because you don't want that. I've seen it a few times. I've seen what happens when a guy gets his fucking toes cut off, and you don't want that. No. Okay, guys, oh, you're leaving, are you? Good. All right, see you later. Yeah, bye. No, but you're in my video now.
Sorry.
No, you're staying in. You're staying on my video. You're in my video.